Welcome to the Deep Dive. We grab a stack of fresh sources and, well, pull out the most important nuggets for you.
Yep.
Today we're plunging into the pretty exciting world of NFL predictions, player moves, team values. Training camps are right around the corner.
Right. And we've gathered insights from all over, expert takes on awards, trade talk, some high-stakes contract stuff, even early Madden ratings. Our goal here is really to unpack all this information, give you that shortcut to being in the know, and, highlight what really matters right now.
Okay, let's kick things off. There's a pretty bold prediction floating around about Carolina's quarterback Bryce Young.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon Austin over at Pro Football Sports Network. He's named Young as the Panthers' top NFL MVP candidate for 2025.
Wow, okay. MVP.
Yeah, I know. It's fascinating, especially when you think it was only, 10 years ago? Cam Newton, MVP, Super Bowl 50 for the Panthers.
Right, right.
So could Young actually, follow that path in year 3?
Well, what's really intriguing is looking back at Young's 2024 season. I mean, he definitely showed some grit, some real resiliency after getting benched just 2 games in.
Yeah, that was rough.
It was. And okay, sure, he finished 28th in QB plus for the whole season. That's that metric combining passing, rushing, everything.
The overall picture.
Exactly. But that Week 18 game against Atlanta, that was something else. 251 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, completed almost 74% of his passes, 123.5 passer rating, plus 2 rushing scores. Just remarkable.
And the advanced stats from that game, those are pretty telling too, right?
Absolutely.
He had, a 0.58 EPA per dropback?
Mm-hmm.
And even more impressive, plus 0.46 EPA per dropback when he was pressured. Now, for folks listening, EPA is expected points added. Basically, how much a play helps your team's chance to score. Doing that under pressure, that's a big deal.
Exactly. And while his full season numbers, from a clean pocket plus 0.1 or overall minus 0.02, they don't exactly scream elite. That pressured EPA per dropback, minus 0.2, that actually ranked 10th in the whole league.
10th?
Yeah, which shows a real knack for making things happen when the pocket collapses. That's a rare quality, especially for a young guy. And that progress, that was absolutely key to the Panthers turning things around a bit, winning 4 of their last 9 after that terrible 1-7 start.
That is quite the split, isn't it? Struggling generally, but shining when things get chaotic.
Yeah.
Does that point to, coaching or just him finding his groove?
Probably a mix. The article does highlight that he clearly earned the trust of the new coach, Des Canales.
Okay.
And now he supposedly has his best set of weapons yet, including that rookie, Teteroa McMillan. So the system might be clicking better for him, letting that natural resilience come through.
Makes sense.
But, I got to temper expectations slightly. The source does say Carolina probably won't be a playoff team.
Right, the caveat.
Which makes him, quote, a long shot for real MVP consideration. Still, those last 10 games in 2024, huge improvement. Over 2,100 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, only 6 picks, plus those 5 rushing TDs.
So the momentum is there.
Definitely. That finish shows a quarterback learning to thrive under pressure, not just a one-game wonder. It points to maybe a dark horse breakout. Worth watching, for sure.
Okay, from one young player's potential jump, let's switch gears. A different kind of showdown involving Cowboys All-Pro Micah Parsons and Kevin Durant.
Yeah, the NBA star. Wild story. KD was actually on stage at Fanatics Fest in New York when the news broke about his trade to the Houston Rockets.
Crazy timing.
Right. And during that same event, Durant, who's from D.C., made this, pretty bold prediction about Parsons.
Okay, what did he say?
He said he believes Micah Parsons will eventually end up playing for his hometown Washington Commanders. His exact words were, I will say, 2 years from now.
Whoa, 2 years.
Yeah.
Parsons to the Commanders. That's something.
Okay.
What did Parsons say to that?
His immediate response, quote, I only rock with Dan Quinn. You know what I mean.
Strong loyalty statement, especially with Quinn now coaching the Commanders. But how much stock do you put in that, mid-contract talk?
It's definitely significant. And you have to look at what Dan Quinn did in Washington just last season. He took over before 2024 and, totally transformed the franchise.
Yeah, it's pretty credible.
Washington went 12-5, second in the division, their most regular season wins since '91, the last time they actually won the Super Bowl.
Wow.
They had a plus 94 point differential, best since that Joe Gibbs Super Bowl team. They even got to the NFC Championship game last season, lost to the Eagles, who won the Super Bowl, but still.
And they won 2 playoff games in that run, which is more than they'd managed since, 2001?
Exactly. It's an amazing turnaround, culture shift, like you said earlier.
And Parsons, of course, has absolutely tormented Washington over his career. 8 sacks against them already.
Right. Which brings us back to the tension here. Parsons' contract, he's going into year 5, still no extension from Jerry Jones and the Cowboys.
Yeah, that's been brewing.
And he's openly said he wants to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. Plus, you've got guys like TJ Watt in Pittsburgh, Trey Hendrickson in Cincy, also needing new deals.
So the market could explode.
Could drive the price way up. And Parsons himself, he didn't mince words, did he?
Nope. It's going to cost them more. That's the quote.
And reports say Parsons and Jones talked about a framework back in March, but apparently Jones hasn't contacted Parsons' agent, David Mulugeta, to actually finalize anything.
Oh.
Parsons says he won't sign without his agent involved. And now you hear Watt's demands from the Steelers are maybe even higher than what Parsons and Jones initially talked about.
Ooh, complicated.
Very. It just adds layers to everything. And it makes Durant's prediction maybe not likely, but it lingers in the background of this whole standoff.
Okay, sticking with big names potentially on the move. Let's talk Jalen Ramsey. The Dolphins' defensive back is reportedly on the trade block. And he's apparently made it known he wants to head back to the West Coast. ESPN's Adam Schefter says L.A. is his preference. Rams, or Chargers, he played for the Rams from 2019 to 2022, so that makes sense.
Yeah, the preference definitely tracks. But the money side gets tricky for those LA teams.
How so?
Well, the Rams, they only have about, $21.8 million in cap space. Ramsey's due over $25 million in 2025, so probably too rich for their blood.
Okay, and the Chargers.
They've got a bit more, $27.5 million, but still fitting in that $25 million plus hit for Ramsey might be tough for them too.
But here's where it gets really interesting for another West Coast team.
Go on.
The San Francisco 49ers. They are sitting on more than $46 million in cap space. That's the second most in the entire NFL right now.
Wow, $46 million. Yeah, they can absolutely afford them. No question there.
So they have the money.
And the actual trade cost might not be that steep either. I mean, considering Miami needs to offload that contract, you're probably not looking at more than, say, a 5th-round pick to get him.
A 5th-rounder for Jalen Ramsey. That sounds like a steal, talent-wise.
Talent-wise, yes. But it brings up the big question for the Niners. Are you really willing to drop $25 million this year on a defensive back who's, 30 years old now?
That's the rub. But the counter-argument is pretty compelling too, right? Ramsey played in all 17 games for Miami last year.
He did, stayed healthy.
And his Pro Football Focus grade was actually better than any DB currently on the 49ers roster. So he'd be an immediate upgrade, even if an expensive one. For a team like San Francisco, always seems like they're in win-now mode. Is that kind of guaranteed impact worth the cash, even at 30?
It's that classic contender's dilemma, isn't it? Invest for the future or push all the chips in now. Ramsey's immediate impact versus that big salary number. It's a tough call for their front office, a really interesting one to watch.
Definitely. Okay, let's wrap things up with a different kind of prediction entirely. We're talking video games. EA Sports Madden NFL 26, the early team ratings just dropped on Friday.
Madden ratings. Always stirs up debate.
For sure. And the Las Vegas Raiders, well, they don't often get a ton of love from the national media, right? I haven't won a playoff game since 2002.
That's true, but this offseason, under the new GM John Spytek and Coach Pete Carroll, it feels like maybe a change of pace, as the source puts it.
So?
Well, the moves they made, bringing in Geno Smith, Jermaine Pratt, Raheem Mostert, plus having all those draft picks, 11 of them in 2025, seem to be viewed pretty positively. There's some buzz building.
Okay, so how does that translate to Madden? What's the rating?
Well, maybe not surprisingly, the Raiders are in the lower half of the league, an 81 overall rating.
81. Okay. Seems about right, maybe.
But here's the fascinating part. They were rated 2 points higher than their division rival, the Denver Broncos. The Broncos got a 79 overall.
Wait, the Broncos? The team that won 10 games last year?
The very same. While the Raiders only won 4 games.
Okay, that is weird. A 10-win team rated lower than a 4-win team. Madden's going rogue here.
It definitely goes against the grain. The source suggests Madden might be looking at the Raiders' new era, factoring in guys like rookie running back Ashton Jonty, called a massive upgrade, and second-year tight end Brock Bowers, who people are already calling, one of the best in the league.
So Madden's betting on potential, and the offseason moves more than last year's results.
Seems like it. They often try to project forward, not just look backward. Meanwhile, you've got Denver.
Right. Denver boasts one of the league's best defenses. Patrick Surtain, the second Defensive Player of the Year last season.
Exactly. And they added guys like Evan Engram, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw this offseason, too. Solid moves.
And Denver swept the Raiders last year. First time since 2019.
which makes this Madden rating gap even more interesting looking ahead. They play Week 10, Thursday Night Football, and then again in Week 14.
So we'll see pretty quickly if Madden's digital crystal ball was right about this Raiders' new era against that proven Denver D.
It definitely sets up those matchups nicely, adds a little extra spice.
And just one more little Madden tidbit that caught my eye. The Jets, 86 overall.
86, wow.
Same rating as the defending Super Bowl champs, the Eagles, and higher than the Bills, who are at 85.
Okay, Madden is all I in on the Aaron Rodgers comeback year then.
Clearly. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground pretty quickly here. Bryce Young's long shot MVP bid, those interesting pressure stats, Micah Parsons, KD, Dan Quinn, the contract drama, Jalen Ramsey maybe heading west.
Yeah.
And even Madden challenging how we see teams like the Raiders and Broncos.
Yeah, and if you zoom out a bit, what this really underscores is just how dynamic the NFL is. You've got performance on the field, sure, but then you have all the financial strategy, the player comments, the coaching changes, even these virtual ratings. They all kind of blend together.
It's never simple.
Never. Player potential, money decisions, digital forecasts, it all feeds into the narrative and the expectations heading into the season.
Which leaves a big question for you listening. How much do you think these early predictions, these shifting narratives, actually impact how teams play or how players perform once the season starts? What stood out to you as the most intriguing prediction or situation from everything we just dove into?